Hey guys! So a great way to slow down time is to travel to the past. Since time machines haven't been invented yet, historical photographs can serve as a means of transportation there. A photograph is a silent witness to past events, both significant and mundane. Often they capture the lives of ordinary people in the context of the era in which they lived. In early 20th century England, there was a popular circus run by a man named Bertram Mills. Among its various oddities, one could see small women with extraordinary long necks adorned with shiny rings. These women came from distant Burma. They participated in these performances to entertain the public. The archives still have some very curious photographs depicting these giraffe women, looking very interesting in London in 1935. According to the official version, North Korea's second leader, Kim Jong-il, was born on February 16, 1942, in a guerrilla camp on the country's highest mountain, Mount Paektu. It was said that a bright star lit up the sky and a double rainbow appeared to mark this event. However, Soviet data suggests that he was born in the village Vyastoyke, 70 kilometers from Khabarovsk, at the location of the 88th Separate Brigade of the Soviet Army. His father, Kim Il-sung, a cadet, had risen to the rank of captain by the end of 1945 and served as the commander of one of the battalions. He was preparing to return to Korea to continue his guerrilla activities. According to the documents, the newborn was named Yuri Ursonovich Kim. The photo shows Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-suk with their son, the future leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-il, in 1947. Year 1887. The photo shows the legendary leader of the Chiricahua Apache tribe, Geronimo, on a horse, and his people, who were the last Native Americans to resist being forced onto reservations. The Apaches waged a hopeless battle against the U.S. Army until the very end. An animal trainer, Walter Zapashny, and his wife Marika taking a walk with the tiger named Typhoon in 1964. Cambridge students at a rally against the admission of women to the university. The effigy of a woman on a bicycle symbolizes feminism. The effigy would soon be burned. Britain, 1897. American supermodel Cindy Crawford with a mobile phone, 1987. A women-only subway car in the New York subway, 1912. A special subway employee standing at the end of the car ensured that men did not board. Students at the University of Madras would tie themselves to the nail in the wall by their hair to stay awake while preparing for exams. British India, 1909. A well-off bride wearing a basket on her head to hide her face until the ceremony. Fuzhou, China, 1913. Betty Broadbent, the Tattooed Venus, Australia, April 4, 1938. She had 465 tattoos, including images of aviator Charles Lindbergh, patriotic flags, and symbols, including the American bald eagle. But her most famous tattoo was a large Madonna and child on her back. As a circus performer, Betty Broadbent started getting tattoos to earn a living during the winter months when the rodeo circus season ended. Women always remain women. A participant in the Warsaw Uprising freshens up by looking in a pocket mirror after a German air raid on Warsaw's Zlota Street, 1944. A U.S. Marine Corps medic, Theodore Rotowski, uses a stethoscope to detect enemy underground tunnels in Khe Sanh, South Vietnam, March 1968. The Viet Cong used underground tunnels for troop placement, transport, and supply routes. The tunnel network ran from the outskirts of Saigon to the Cambodian border, covering a distance of 250 kilometers. Those were real underground villages with living quarters, kitchens, ammunition depots, and hospitals. Four horsemen and a cyclist on the streets of Amsterdam during the oil crisis, 1973. The Netherlands. The 1973 oil crisis began on October 17, 1973, when all Arab OPEC members, along with Egypt and Syria, declared that they would no longer supply oil to countries that had supported Israel in the Yom Kippur War as part of its conflict with Syria and Egypt. The list included Great Britain, Canada, the Netherlands, the USA, and Japan, but it primarily affected the United States and their Western European allies. Over the next year, the price of oil rose from $3 to $12 per barrel. In March 1974, the embargo was lifted. Assembly Point Juliet, the Zizani. Military operations in southern Rhodesia, Africa, January 1980. Due to a pilot error, the cargo intended for a women's battalion was dropped for male soldiers. Women placing salt at the bottom of barrels before salting herring, 1937, Norway. The photo shows the procedure for destroying worn-out banknotes at the U.S. Treasury, Washington, 1912. Japanese photo brides arrived on Angel Island, the largest island in San Francisco Bay. It served as a military base from 1863 to 1946. For a long time, it was a quarantine station since 1892 and an immigrant reception center since 1909. During World War II, it became a camp for interned U.S. citizens of Japanese and German descent. Today, it's a place for recreation and tourism. The term photo brides originated from a time when matchmakers, often family members or special agents, used photographs to arrange marriages. This matchmaking method gained popularity in the early 1900s in the United States, primarily bringing brides from Japan. Agencies and prospective American husbands would discuss details, choose a bride from a catalog, introduce her to a brief profile of the future husband, and invite her to America for marriage. As for Japanese photo brides between 1905 and 1930, over 50,000 of them came to the United States in search of happiness and marriage. Pictured are the future wives who arrived on Angel Island in 1920. The famous circus strongman Paul Ramos lifts his son up with one hand so he could feed a giraffe. The photo was taken at the London Zoo in 1955. The Polish girl in the photograph is named Teresa. Her childhood years were spent in a German concentration camp. When asked to draw her home, she drew barbed wire. 1948. Clearing the canals of Venice in 1956. When tourists take gondolas to the canals of Venice, the stale odor somewhat ruins the romantic experience. However, back in 1956, the canals were meticulously cleaned. Water was drained, and all the garbage was removed from the bottom. This is what libraries looked like 150 years ago. With the advent of the internet, books quickly took a back seat. This photo shows what libraries were like in the 19th century. The sight of multiple floors of books is truly impressive. Young people drying freshly made pasta on reed pools at one of the pasta factories in Naples in 1929. Future founders of Microsoft, 13-year-old Bill Gates and 15-year-old Paul Allen, connecting to a PDP-10 computer at the University of Washington through a teletype terminal at their school, Lakeside, in Seattle, in 1968. Photograph by Henry Cartier-Bresson. It captures the last days of the Kuomintang market crash as people stood in line to exchange useless paper money for gold before the communists came to power. Shanghai, China, 1949. The warden of a women's prison and his inmates, prisoners from the White Women's Ward, 1963. New Orleans, Louisiana, USA. The German airship Graf Zeppelin, filled with hydrogen, slowly moves through the air over Wembley Stadium, London, 1930. Cosmonauts Anatoly Berezovoy and Valentin Lebedev take a shower on board the Salyut 7 space station, 1982. Paying teachers with vodka before a staff meeting in Russia, 1997. A dummy of a black person at a school entrance, displayed in protest against the integration of black students, Texas, USA, 1956. California farmers working in the orchard on special stilts, 1960. German soldiers dancing with local women on the streets of occupied Polotsk, Belarus, in 1943. Light therapy on the beach of the Greek island of Leros. A patient and his caregiver enjoying the sun in 1994. Since the mid-60s, there has been a form of volunteering in Greece that involves young women going out with elderly patients, accompanying them to beaches and restaurants and taking photos. Everything is very cultured and civilized, but it strongly adds to the desire of lonely old people to hold on to life. This kind of therapy isn't available to just anyone, but only those who have been examined by a psychologist and whom the woman can feel safe being around. Actresses protesting the use of corsets in plays. Broadway, New York, USA, 1946. Alice Elizabeth Doherty, born on March 4, 1887, in the United States, to a regular family with healthy, beautiful children. When she was born, Alice's face was covered with silky light hair 2 inches long. Her parents were shocked by the news. She had congenital hypertrichosis. Alice Doherty began her career at exhibitions at the age of 2, thus earning money for her family. There was no shortage of people wanting to see the unusual girl. The demand quickly dictated the organization of large tours in the Midwest. Alice was demonstrated at exhibitions for a rather long time. She passed away on June 13, 1933, for unknown reasons, at the age of 46. Children wearing traditional Japanese straw coats called mino on their way to a New Year's event. Niigata Prefecture, Japan, in 1956. Nurses in the trenches between hospital wards. World War I, France, 1918. Teaching driving to King's African Rifles, 1943. A stone on the head trains the students not to lower their heads and keep their eyes on the road. The largest sequoia tree was felled in Canada in 1892. It was named the Mark Twain tree. 2 cross-sections of the trunk were sent to museums, while the rest were used for logs. The photograph was taken immediately after the tree was felled. Sequoias are the largest trees on Earth and the most long-lived, estimated to live from 2,000 to 5,000 years. Their diameter can reach 11.5 meters, and the volume of wood in a single tree can be as much as 1,500 cubic meters. The construction of the world's largest wooden log cabin was recorded in 1905 in the United States. It was built on the border with Canada, where many giant trees could still be found in the early 20th century. The cabin reached a height of 22 meters, which is almost 7 standard floors, with a length of 63 meters and a width of 31 meters. The event was dedicated to the international exhibition that was held in Portland. The building was then intended to be used by a forestry department. This unique structure attracted special attention to the exhibition, serving as an excellent advertising campaign. Over 1.5 million people came to the event, and thanks to the cabin, the event became known worldwide. Unfortunately, the cabin did not survive to our days. Over time, the building developed problems with wiring, and in 1964, it burned down. The giant column of fire was visible from far away, and a thick layer of ash settled around the scene of the incident in a radius of 1.5 kilometers. Kangwei, or jia in Chinese, is a type of punishment similar to the Western pillory. The wooden board usually had the name, address, and offense written on it, as well as something offensive about the person wearing it. Kangwei was one of the most painful forms of punishment due to its weight and discomfort for sleep. To survive on a chain with this board around the neck, the offender had to beg for food, or else they faced death from hunger. Photo taken by Scotsman John Thompson, Shanghai, 1870. 18-year-old inventor H. Day wearing headphones attached to a wireless radio receiver under his hat. May 22, 1922, Britain. What makes this photo unique? Portable radio receivers only appeared in the 1950s, after the invention of the transistor. Polish prisoners of war in a temporary German camp in Poland, 1939. Winston Churchill, with his famous cigar, sits on what remains of Adolf Hitler's chair in July 1945. Well, that's all for today, friends. Like the video if you learned something new. Let me know what your favorite picture was in the comments, and we'll see you next time.